They say gays are born that way, and it has been proved. It's been proven that they're born that way. That is a lie. That's what's called a lie. It is not true.
It has been 5 years since anti-gay activists from the United States made a trip to Uganda. 5 years since we learned that America's far-right anti-gay bizarro world had turned into an export operation. 3 American evangelical activists traveled to the nation of Uganda for a 3-day anti-gay conference in that country in the year 2009. While they were there, they spoke to a group that reportedly included Ugandan legislators. The American anti-gay activists urged the Ugandans that they should have zero tolerance for homosexuality and for gay people. The Americans told them that gay people are dangerous, that there's no need to respect the rights of gay people because, frankly, no one has to be gay. Gay people can become straight people if they want to because there's a cure for homosexuality. It's gay people's choice whether or not they want to avail themselves of that cure. So if they don't, you really can blame them for being gay because they could be straight if they wanted to be straight. The Americans explained to the Ugandans that if you give gay people an inch, they'll take a mile. You have to show them zero tolerance. Gay people really are out to get you, they told the Ugandans. You have to stop them. Those American anti-gay activists presented themselves as experts on sexual orientation. They said they spoke on the basis of reason and the latest American science. And their American activism exported to Uganda worked. Legislators in that country, including some who reportedly attended the big anti-gay conference with these experts flown in from America, those Ugandan legislators began pushing for new and extreme punishments for being gay in their country. The first version of their bill established death by hanging as the sentence for the new crime of homosexuality. The Americans who had exported their pseudoscience to Uganda, which resulted in that bill, they said they were shocked by the drastic nature of the resulting legislation, the Kill the Gays bill. Those American activists tried to distance themselves from what they had wrought, but the Ugandans we talked to about it said those American activists had, in fact, inspired the law. Uganda's Kill the Gays bill eventually died after a wave of international condemnation. That was 2009. But then last month, a new iteration of that bill came back. And Uganda's president, somewhat unexpectedly, signed into law the new version of the bill. The revised version doesn't include the sentence of death for being gay, but you can still get life imprisonment. You can also get 7 years in prison for attempting to commit homosexuality or for promoting homosexuality. And when he signed that bill into law, the Ugandan president brought up, unprompted, the same kind of bonkers for science nonsense that those American activists had exported to that country back in 2009.
Somebody to be a homosexual is a combination of some genetic, but mainly external factors, like influence and so on and so forth. We don't want anybody to interfere in our internal affairs. Finished.
Finished. The Ugandan president said he was done. He wouldn't reconsider his decision, and he signed it. American officials, including both Secretary of State John Kerry and his predecessor Hillary Clinton and President Obama himself, had all been outspoken on this issue, warning Uganda to not do it. The U.S. gives Uganda a ton of foreign aid, and after President Museveni signed the anti-gay law, President Obama said the U.S. would review that aid money and our whole relationship with Uganda. We don't yet know what that review is going to mean, but BuzzFeed has a scoop today about something else the U.S. government is apparently now doing to try to turn this thing around. Secretary of State John Kerry now says the U.S. has a new plan to send actual scientists to Uganda so they basically can explain the gay, to try to undo some of the nonsense quackery that was passed off to these folks as if it were cutting-edge American science. Speaking today at a forum hosted by BuzzFeed, Secretary Kerry said, "I talked personally to President Museveni, and he committed to meet with some of our experts so we could engage him in a dialogue as to why what he did could not be based on any kind of science or fact, which is what he was alleging." He welcomed that and said he was happy to receive them, the scientists, and he said, "We can engage in that kind of conversation. Maybe we can reach a point of reconsideration." So after American anti-gay evangelical activists exported their views to Uganda back in 2009, holding them out as the latest in American science on this issue of how God can make you straight, Can the U.S. government undo that damage now by exporting actual science, actual scientists, to try to clean up the mess that those other Americans left behind? Our government is apparently about to embark on a rather fascinating experiment in real science and real diplomacy in a faraway country that a number of Americans had a real hand in really screwing up. The issue of what the United States government can do to try to undo some of the damage that Americans did in Uganda has been a very open question. I don't know exactly who Secretary Kerry is planning on sending over there, who the scientists are going to be who go over there, and how they're going to be received in Uganda, but this is a new one in the annals of diplomacy.